Morning everyone. Today we are going to discuss the topic 16, chapter number 16, which is public finance. Public finance topic is divided into two parts. One is fiscal policies, another one is a government budget. Okay. So today we are going to discuss the fiscal policy as per the council, and we will discuss only the reduced syllabus, but whichever material is needed uh, to improve or to deal with the questions, I will give you an overview of all those topics as well. So these are the topic which we need to cover up in this chapter, fiscal policy. We will discuss the meaning and instrument of fiscal policy. Then we'll moving to the public revenue and meaning and taxes and their types we'll discuss. We'll discuss the difference between direct and indirect taxes. Thereafter, we'll discuss the public expenditure, meaning and importance. What is the importance of public expenditure? Then public debt. We'll discuss meaning and redemption of public debt. And then we'll focus on the deficit of financing, meaning only. Okay, so whatever it is written, we will discuss only those part, and few things we'll discuss hereby. So here we go, the first topic. If you look at the this chapter, the entire chapter, this public finance is actually known for the income and expenditure. What is the income of our country? What will be the expenditure by the central government or the public authority? Whomsoever is an authority, whomsoever is an authority of ours, they will deal only how to collect the income, what is the way, and what on which head you will spend in the form of expenditure. So public finance is the study of income and expenditure of the public authority. So this term public authority includes all kinds of government, local bodies, local municipal boards, district boards to the state and national government. So it includes everyone. So it is the study of revenue and expenditure of the government at the center, state level and the local level. So it will cover each and every person, each and every government. And then very well said by Dalton, public finance is the branch of knowledge which is concerned with the income and expenditure of public authorities. So it is a branch of knowledge which concerned only with the income and expenditure of public authorities. So wherever you will spend, where to spend, where not to spend, from which source you will collect the money, these all, it's a concern. So we are dealing, public finance is dealing with these activities. So public finance is, look at this carefully, you will come to know, public finance is the study of finance related to government entities. It involves around role of government income and expenditure in the economy. So the scope of public finance, yes.
So your link is not working, sir. We tried to join with different IDs, but still it is.
With different IDs, it will not work. It will work only with the school ID RO.
Even in the school email ID it was.
It's working. You can click on that
I
link.
tried. I tried. I showed you this email. Voter ID didn't work.
Not. Let's start. So public income. What is public income? The income which is collected through tax and non-tax. It's called income of government. What is public expenditure? Money spent by government entities on health and education, and there are so many factors. Then public debt arises when public expenditures exceed than the public income. Then financial administration includes preparation, passing, implementations of the government, budget and various government policies, everything will be included. So what are the functions of public finance? Allocation function, distribution function, and stabilization of function. These are the three functions which we generally use in public finance. So what you will do in the allocation of function, it study how to allocate public expenditures most efficiently to reap maximum benefits with the available public wealth. Second, distribution. So it aims at reducing the inequalities through redistributions of income and wealth. Third, stabilization of function. It aims at eliminating the business fluctuation and its impact on the economy. So this is what we are doing in the public finance, children. Moving to the next slide, let's talk about what is the meaning of fiscal policies. So please observe this definition carefully, children. Fiscal policies or budgetary policies are the same thing, and it consists of government steps, measures, measures undertaken both on the revenue and expenditure sides of its budget. So they are taking steps and measures on revenue and expenditures. That's called fiscal policies. And it is also called as budgetary policies. Objectives. What is the object behind to have the fiscal policies? The fiscal policy play a multi-dimensional role, and it particular aim at improving economic growth and ensuring social justice to the people. That's the main objectives. How to do it? There are certain objectives in any developing countries are as follows. First, to mobilize the resources of investment. Second, to accelerate the pace of economic growth and development. Third, to minimize inequalities of income and wealth through transfer of income. So there are three heads. So another object, to increase employment opportunities. This is another factor. Next, to contain inflationary and deflationary tendency in the country. To control this, to manage. How to control? We already spoke about in the central bank functions. So tendency. Third, to promote economic stability. And how to make the stability? By imposing the taxes and by giving subsidies. So that we'll maintain the economic stability in our country. And then to encourage social optimum investment. That is another point. So encourage investment. We are giving opportunities to the investors to invest in our country through to get some exemption in taxes, to get subsidies in their work. So they'll invest. And then we have to increase national income and ensure equitable distribution. That is the another point. So these are the functions. And there are three tools or instrument of fiscal policies are public revenue, public expenditure, and public debt. And these all we will study in detail in the next slides. So fiscal policies have three tools: public revenue, public expenditure, and public debt. So let's talk about what is public revenue. So public revenue, it refers to the income of the government through all its sources. So now what are the sources? There are two types of sources which generally used by the authorities. So Professor Dalton has defined public revenue in two sense, narrow sense and the wider sense. Let's see that. Narrow sense. Public revenue includes only those sources of income and of the government which are described as revenue resources. Now the wider perspectives. So it includes all the income and receipts irrespective of their sources and nature, which the government obtained during any period of time, in a period of time. So it's a broader concept. So what is the difference between narrow sense and the broader sense? We will explain with the help of example in the next slides. So the source of public revenue. What are the source of public revenue? These are sources of public revenue. If you divide this public source, you can divide into two forms. One, tax revenue, and another one is a non-tax revenue. Tax revenue, this is I have denoted with TR, and non-tax revenue, which is denoted by NTR. So these are the two sources. So tax revenue is a taxation which is of two types. We'll discuss it in the next slides. And rest of them, these fines, fees, penalties, special assessment, profit to state, enterprise and gift, donation, grants and sales, borrowing, escheat, gifts and grants, license fees, printing paper money and false features. Everything comes in the non-tax revenue, rest of them, except this will come here, and rest of them, these all will come in the non-tax revenue. So children, so remember each and every point we will discuss in the next slide. So let's talk about taxation. So tax, everyone is, I'm sure you are okay with this. The tax is a compulsory, it is a compulsory contribution which people in a country has to make towards the public treasury out of their purchasing power without any quid pro activity. So tax is a compulsory contribution which people living in the state make towards public treasury out their purchasing power without any quid pro quo. Quid pro quo means something against it, something against it you will get. No, but in economics, in our macroeconomics, you will not get anything in against the taxes. If you are paying taxes, whether it is a direct tax or indirect tax, you will not get anything directly in return. You will get something indirectly in return. So whatever it, whether it is like impact, it with your income or on your purchasing power. So you have to see that part. So it lies on your income, direct income, or on your indirect income, or on your purchasing power. So it varies people to people. Higher taxes for the rich people, lower taxes on the poor people. So according to tax slab you are paying. So that's we will discuss it. So according to Adams, a tax is a contributions from the citizen for the support of the state. State means we are talking about to the government. So we are supporting to the government. So features of taxes are compulsory contribution. Tax revenue is for general welfare. Yes, whatever taxes you will deposit to the government treasury, this will be used for the welfare of the society. Then no quid pro, in Latin phrase, something for the something. So it means you will not get something directly in return, but indirectly government will do something for you. Then personal obligation, that's a personal responsibility for each and every people or citizen of our country to deposit the taxes, whether it is a direct or indirect. So these are the common features of taxes. So objectives of taxation. What is the objective which is not in the syllabus, but I just wanted to highlight some points. Raising revenue, which because if you raise the revenue, it will be used for more welfare. Then regulation of consumption and production, and that's actually required. So consumption and production will take care of with this. Then encouraging the domestic industries. The tax will be used for the help of the domestic industries to help them to help in terms of finance. You are helping them in terms of finance, in terms of your technology also. You will buy good technology for the domestic industries to encourage them for the production. And then raising investment. When you collect more taxes from the people, you will utilize that money for the investment purpose, so that you will multiply your money or the government money into a huge, so that you will do more welfare activity for the nation. And then reducing income inequalities. So you will charge more taxes from the rich people and less taxes from the poor people. So that will reduce the inequalities between the income. And then raising economic growth, that is also a part of it. So the taxation is used for the economic growth. Why it is used for the economic growth? Whatever the taxes you will collect, you will use for the welfare. You will use it for the infrastructure development. You will use for the education, health. You will use for the transportation. You will use for the electrifications of the road, even to set up a new market also for the people, for the farmers. So this will impact the economic growth. When you add on something new in our economy, that will help you to generate more employment. That's why it raised the economic growth. Then development of backward region. Yes, the tax, whatever the tax you will collect from any sources, you will utilize that money for the development of the backward regions. And then ensuring price stability. If there is a price fluctuation during the inflation time or deflation time, then you will use it. So you will ensure the price stability. If there is a price hike, then you will start giving the subsidies. And if there is a low prices, then you need to maintain the prices of any product, then you will increase the taxes on the raw material, maybe on the factory inputs you will increase the prices. So that will increase, or that will maintain the price stability of the product. So these are the objective behind the taxation. So just wanted to give you overview of it. Then types of taxes. There are two types of taxes. One is direct taxes, and then we'll discuss the indirect taxes also. So direct taxes, what is direct taxes? Direct tax is borne by the same person on whom it is imposed. Remember, so it is bear by the same person who it was imposed. So like if it is imposed on Aravjan, then Aravjan will take care of it. If it is imposed on me, then I'll take care of my responsibility. So income tax, what are the examples of a direct taxes? So income tax, corporation tax, property tax, capital gain tax, and wealth tax. These are the direct taxes which is imposed by the government of India on the individual persons. Or you can define in other way also, according to Professor Dalton, a direct tax is really paid by the person on whom it is legally imposed. So who's paying? The same person whom it was imposed. Then we have the merits of direct taxes. So economical, it is very economical, and certainty, it will maintain whomsoever will come in the tax slab, they have to pay a certain amount of taxes. Then equitable, so it is equally, whether it depends on the tax slab. If you comes in 5 lakh to 10 lakh rupees, the same amount of tax you need to pay. Whether you are on 5 lakh rupees or whether you are on 10 lakh rupees, you will pay the same kind of taxes. Then reducing inequalities, it will help us to reduce the inequalities. Then is elastic, more income, more taxes. So it is like more elastic. So this taxes are more elastic. And civic consciousness, so people will responsible to pay their taxes to the government. Then simplicity, so it is very simple. You can calculate your taxes easily. There is no hurdle, no difficulties to calculate how much you have to pay to the government of India. And then there are some demerits of direct taxes, unpopular because people always try to hide their actual income from the society or from the government, and they don't want to show their direct income or their actual income. So they are ignoring. So unpopular for the people because you have to pay huge amount as a tax. So sometimes it comes 30%. Sometimes if you are a businessman and you are paying wealth tax or corporate tax, then it reflect directly to you, and a huge amount you have to pay to the government. So unpopular. So possibilities of tax evasions. Yes, as I told you, people are hiding their actual income while paying their direct taxes. So inconvenient, people are not very much convenient to pay the taxes because the huge burden directly comes to them. Then adverse effect on the will to work and save. So it will impact on the working because they consider ki whatever we'll do, we have to pay the taxes. And as yesterday also Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, she announced ki if we use cryptocurrency, you have to pay 30% taxes. So it is a huge amount of tax you are paying on it, GST or other taxes. But this cryptocurrency, it's a direct taxes they are going to charge, not the indirect taxes. So affect capital formation, yes.
But even TDS reject
Capital formation, people will not invest unnecessary because it will be counted as a tax, and through the capital formation they will see actual earning of the people. So it is very unpopular. Narrow scope, yes, it's very narrow scope, direct taxes. Then sectoral imbalance, people are paying, different sectors have different taxes, and it's a very difficult to I mean you can consider ki reduce that imbalance thing from the sectoral. Now, the other type, which is another type of tax, which is indirect tax. So let's see the definitions. Indirect tax is that tax which is essentially imposed on and paid by one individual, but the burden of this tax is passed over some other individual who are ultimately bearing, like customer are paying VAT also, service tax also, GST also on behalf of the producer or the seller. So VAT, custom duty, service charges, entertainment taxes, these are paid by some other person, but actually it was imposed, it was lived on some other person, but the burden is shifted. So remember, on and paid by one individual, but the burden is shifted from from one to other. So other individual will bear the ultimate this ultimately. So these are the types. So if look at the other definition which is given by Professor Dalton, indirect taxes imposed on one person but paid partly or wholly by another person. That's called indirect taxes. So merits of indirect taxes are convenience. It's very convenience because when you buy some stuff, then only you have to pay the taxes. Otherwise, you don't need to pay. Elastic, uh, more valued product you will buy, you will pay more taxes on it. Let's say 10 lakh rupees ka koi product you are purchasing, you have to pay taxes, certain amount of taxes. If you are buying 10 rupees product, then you have to pay certain amount of taxes out of 10 rupees. So it depends on the this income which you are spending. So less chances of tax evasions, yes, because if you purchase a 1 rupee product also, you have to pay certain tax. If you are buying 100 rupees product, then you have to pay certain. So it's very difficult to invest this indirect taxes. Wide coverage, yes, it covers the huge population, the entire almost 50 or 80 crore people are coming in this indirect taxes. So whomsoever is buying any stuff from the seller or from the wholesaler, they have to pay certain amount of taxes. So it covers the entire community. Then equity, yes, it is same for the people, whether you are a rich person or whether you are a poor person, you have to pay equal amount of taxes on the purchase of certain amount of a certain product. Then social welfare, yes, it is used for social welfare. Then promote production and investment, it is very helpful for the investment, and this production may not affect motivations to work and save. This will not give any kind of, and it is very flexible, so it is fluctuating as per the income, and government also keep on changing the indirect taxes whenever it is required, whenever it is needed, so they keep on changing, so it is very much flexible. Then there are few demerits of indirect taxes. High cost of collection. Yes, they need to set up the offices or people. They recruit the people to go and see actual tax collection, and they are collecting on behalf of the government. They will go door to door sometimes, and they will do raid also. Number of raids. Recently, Pius Jain raid is one of the part of indirect taxes, because he was a person who's uh, hiding, or he was not able to produce the actual GST paper. So because of that, it was an alarm for the revenue authorities to do the raid. So they have done. So huge amount of collection. So increase income inequalities. Yes, regressive and unjust taxes are is there. So regressive, it's like those who are earning more, they're paying very less taxes, and those who are earning less, they are paying high taxes, indirect taxes. So let's say if you buy a chocolate, you will pay uh, and your income is 1,000 rupees in a week or in a month, and you are buying a chocolate, you will pay 10 rupees as a tax, let's say. And if the person who's earning 50,000 rupees in a month, and he or she will buy the same product, they also paying the same amount of tax. So increased income inequality is always there with the indirect taxes. Then affect consumption. Yes, affect consumption. Uncertainty always there. Then inflationary impact. When there is a indirect taxes, huge indirect taxes, then it will be inflationary impact also. Lack of social conscience. They don't consider the welfare of the society. Uh, so it is this term is missing in this. And possibility of tax evasions. Possibility, little possibilities also. Some people are hiding their actual bills and all. So possibilities of tax evasions. So the question already discussed the direct taxes. The direct taxes. Let's revise. Taxes means the compulsory payment made by the general public to the government on availing any services or anything they are availing. So they are paying taxes to the government, and even they are buying any goods and services from anywhere in the country, they need to pay some indirect taxes on it. So you need to define direct taxes. Direct taxes are those taxes which is borne and bear by the same person. Indirect taxes, the burden of these taxes are transferred from one person to other person. It was imposed on one person, but the actual payment made by the people by someone else, not by the same person. So progressive tax, we'll talk a little bit more about progressive tax today. And then thereafter we'll talk about regressive tax also, proportionate tax also, more in detail. So, and then we'll already discuss the merits and demerits of direct taxes in the previous class. So please have a look on those parts. So if any child is sitting with you, children, please mention their name, okay, so that I'll mark the attendance. Okay, moving for the today's session, very important. So other taxes, as I told you in the previous class, progressive tax increase, the rate of tax increase with increase in income. Regressive tax, these are the general information which I'm giving to you. So these are the tax where the tax rate decreases as income increases. Then proportionate tax, the tax rate remains same whether the income increases or decreases. And then digressive tax are those tax which increases up to certain limit and thereafter it remain constant, and it work as a proportionate tax. So let's go a bit detail in these taxes. uh, these are the proportionate tax. Let's talk about proportionate tax. Already discussed the definition. It refers to those tax whose tax rate remains same at all level of income, whether it is increasing or decreasing. The tax rate remains same. So 10%, 10%. So you are paying, and you need to check the diagram also. So diagram, it's parallel to x-axis, or you can say it is horizontal to x-axis. So income will come on x-axis and rate will come on y-axis. So this part is called x-axis. So this is x-axis and this part is called y-axis. So rate of tax will come on y-axis and the income will come on x-axis. So this tax rate is parallel to x-axis, or you can say horizontal to x-axis. And moving to the progressive taxes, progressive tax means when your income increases, the progressive tax also increases. So the rate of taxes will increase with increase in income. So you can see the tax base one, these are the income, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. Tax rate also changes 5, 10, 15, and the amount also reflecting the same. So the diagram for the progressive tax, it's upward sloping with the increase of income. So income increases, the tax rate also increases. So both are moving in same direction. So they have a positive relations to each other. Moving to the regressive tax, a tax will be regressive when the rate of tax decreases as tax base, or you can say income increases. So income increases from 10,000 to 30,000, rate of tax decreases from 10% to 6%. So this is called regressive tax. And the diagram looks like this. So it shows inverse relationship. Tax rate and the income shows the inverse relationship to each other. Tax increases, but the you can write this way. Tax decreases from 10 to 4 or 3, income increases, and vice versa. If tax rate increases, income will decrease this way. So they are the negative relation in the regressive tax. Then we have digressive tax. As I told you, it increases up to the certain limit and thereafter it will be uniform. It work as the proportionate. So the rate of tax increases up to certain limit, but after that a uniform rate is charged. It's called digressive tax. So income increases from 10,000 to 30,000. Rate increases up to certain limit, that's 7, but thereafter it remains constant. This is constant rate. So constant, which means they are following the proportionate tax slab. And I have given the example. Regressive tax is actually followed by the direct tax on income. So it increasing, initially it increasing, and then it becomes a parallel to x-axis. Okay, so initially they shows positive relationship to each other, thereafter it shows a perfectly elastic demand kind of thing. So these are digressive tax. So now the first part we have completed. There are three components of fiscal policies: public revenue, public expenditure, and public debt. So now the second, public revenue, we have completed. Now we'll talk about the public expenditures. So public expenditure, what is that means? Public expenditures. So central government or any government authorities, regulatory authorities, they are making some expenses on the uh, on the transportation, on education, on health. All those expenditures are considered to be the public expenditures. So let's talk about they are making some expenditures on developmental, non-developmental, productive, non-productive, planned, unplanned kind of expenditures they are making in a year. So they are incurred certain expenses in a year by, and who are making these expenses or expenditures? The public authorities. So it refers to those expenditures which is incurred by public authorities for developmental, non-developmental activities, planned and unplanned activities. So in short, expenditure incurred by the public authorities in running the government. So it is generally used for running the government. So when we talk about the types of public expenditure, as I already mentioned, productive, non-productive, developmental, non-developmental, direct expenditure, transfer expenditures, these all. So we don't need to go in detail, but direct expenses, what does that means? Direct expenses, expenditures incurred by the public authorities uh, directly on the purchase of goods and services, and goods and services which is actually required at present, which is required for the sake of the betterment of the society. So we generally demand it, we generally purchase, so that expenditures are called direct expenditures. Transfer expenditures are those expenditures which take the form of payment, which maybe, I mean, which are made without corresponding return. You are not getting anything in return, so you just transferring to someone of goods and services to the government. You will not get anything. Developmental expenditures, which is made for the developmental activity like construction of road, electricities, transportation facilities. You are buying some assets for the society, construction of dams, and so many things. So you're promoting some economical and society developmental activities. It's called developmental expenditures. There are some expenditures which is non-developmental expenditures, which is related to the administrative services. You are making some expenses for making law and order, which is non-developmental. Okay, so they consider as non-developmental. So incurred non-development activities, government in the form of provisions is essential. General, we consider all these services which is being provided by different forces to us. Then productive and non-productive expenditures. Productive expenditures are those expenditures which help in improving the productivity. So what kind of expenditures we are talking about? We are talking about the education, human capital formation. We are developing the human quality so that we will improve the productivity of our production units. And even though we are making some expenditures for the technology, so that technology will help us to more in the production. Okay, then second thing, non-productive expenditures. Non-productive expenditures are those expenditures which do not add any productive efficiencies in the economy, like administration, like your defense, justice, maintenance of law and order. All these examples we are considering in the non-productive expenditures. So now let's talk about the importance of public expenditures, the effect of public expenditures on production. So what are the effects of public expenditures on productions? So when you see and look at your book, and all the points are given in a paragraph, so I'll just simplify those points. I have not written in my presentation, I will just use those. So first, public expenditures are generally used for various individuals, those who are working. Okay, so like it is good, people are working in railway, people are working in, there are lots of public sectors, huh? And there people are working, they are contributing something for the nation. So we are making some expenditure on them. So developmental activities also considered to be the public for the productions. So everything is included in it. Okay, technology included, uh, your education is included, your health is included for the betterment of productions. Second, public expenditures can help in increasing production in the economy by increasing the efficiencies of the people. So we are making some expenditures for increasing the efficiencies of people. Efficiency, how will you increase the efficiency? By training. First, by training, by educating, by improving the technology, by giving medical services to them, by giving the transportation services to them, and once they are happy, they contribute more for the production. Next point, public expenditure can be used to create human skills. That's also another important, and through this process we will increase the productions. And then we are making certain expenditures on purchasing raw material, good raw material for the production unit. If you do not have the raw material, maybe the production will not take place. So you need to have certain expenditures on raw material as well. Then we are promoting the industries, we are promoting the capital goods, we are promoting the industries also. So for that also we are investing, like special economic zone. So when we set up a special economic zone, we need certain amount of income for the investment. So we are investing in those areas. And then we are making certain expenditures which is not productive, but it is very important, like old age pension, like unemployment allowances, like sickness benefit, medical, everything we'll consider, so that the people will be motivated. So this will also increase the willingness of the people to work for the society, for the country, for the public sectors. That's the effect of public expenditures on production. Second, effects of public expenditures on investment. Again, it's very important. Investment, when you invest something, then it is a creation and maintenance of capitals. So creation on maintenance of economy, maintenance of capitals. So you are adding something in the productions. So public expenditure can be directly used to create social overhead in the form of human capital. You are investing in people. You are investing in the law and order. You are investing in the assets. You are investing in technology. You are investing in transportation. You are investing in electricity. So many things. So power, irrigation, transportation, communications, everywhere you are investing. When you invest, it becomes a public expenditures. So it is going to help the society. So society will get that benefit. Then thereafter we have another effects of public expenditure on income distributions. So when you invest, when you do certain expenditures on public, for the distribution of income, it will help to the poor section of people. So public expenditure can also be advised as to help the poor section of the society. So it will help poor section of the society. And welfare, like free education, free medical facilities, so social security scheme, and unemployment relief, and many more things are given to the poor section of the people. And then public expenditure can be effectively used in reducing regional disparities. So when you distribute the income to each and every section, so you always try to keep this thing in mind to remove the disparities among the society people. So that is also taken care in the public expenditures. Then effects of public expenditure on economic growth. Yes, it's very important. Public expenditures promotes economic development directly by developing social overhead and infrastructure, by establishment of capital goods and industries. And capital expenditure may stimulate economic development indirectly by providing education, training, health, and public health. So many things you are getting for the betterment. Then public expenditure always made in the form of subsidies for the raw material. You can buy the raw material. Yes, Adish.
Sir,
So economic growth is also important, and then always try to remove the disparities. When you remove the disparities between the people, then it is very helpful for the nation to grow. Then people are in economy. We are investing in the stock. We are investing in assets. We are investing in public sectors. We are investing in the private sectors, so that the economy will motivate. Even we are investing in the sectors, primary sectors, secondary sectors, and tertiary sectors, so that they will contribute more in the economic growth. Okay, so these are certain things which is required as an importance of public expenditures. Then moving to the public debt, very, very important. This topic is very important for this year, children, and most probably you may have certain questions related to it. Okay, so public debt is very important, and I'm sure you are aware of it. Akanshit, what is debt? Akanshit, what is debt means? Yes, what is debt? Go ahead, Adish. Unmute yourself. Akanshit, what is debt? Any one of you? Yeah, please answer, Akanshit.
Oh, sir, it's basically kind of loan or a liability.
Okay, liability. Yes. Same thing when we balance the sheet. We studied in balance of payment when there is a problem when the sheet is not balanced. So we need to borrow money. We need to borrow some money. Okay. When you borrow some money from public, I mean from the society, from the people, from the economies, from other economies, so then, and there are some monetary fund also. So you need to borrow some money, huh? So when you borrow money from other societies, then you have a liability to pay. And similar thing is applicable on the nations. So we have liabilities to pay. So what does that mean? We'll talk about. Let's talk about. So meaning of public debt, it is the debt which government owes to its subject or to the nation for of other countries. Okay, this is the definition, so please mark. So it is the debt which government owes to its subject or to the nations of other countries. In other words, you can write, so public debt refers to the loan raised by the government within the country or from the outside the country. So you are granting the loans or you are raising some loans within the country or from outside the country. That's called public debt. Yes, Adish. Unmute yourself. You're not audible, bache. Okay, so let's move on to the other point. So structure, which is, I mean, not in syllabus, but why these debts are required. Internal debts are there, external debts are there. Internal debts when you borrow from RBI bank, when you borrow from general public, you borrow from PSUs. External debt when you borrow from across the world, I mean International Monetary Fund, World Bank, other economies, so external debts. Productive and unproductive debts. So sometimes we borrowed money for the productive activities. Okay, so productive debt is the debt which is used by the government for directly productive purpose, for irrigation, for any purpose, for any project, constructions of road, railways, transportations, communications you borrowed. Sometimes we borrow money for during the pandemic, for any war cases. So these are unproductive debts. And then we have a short-term debts and long-term debts. Some debts are very short, for short period, some debts are for long period also. Then why we borrow? What is the reason to borrow money? So reason for borrowing by the government. First reason, to meet budgetary deficit. Yes. If the balance sheet, that's called BOP, balance of payment, is not, okay, the balance of payment is not balanced properly, then there is a deficit. So to remove that deficit, you are asking for loan, you are borrowing money, okay. Then second thing, you borrow money for the finance the war. If there is a war with different countries, you need certain goods, certain stuffs for the war purpose, so you need to borrow money. Then financing development plan. If there is any development plan like solar energy plant, like your thermal power energy plant, or some other plants, or some other development, so you need to finance those. And you are lack of, I mean, you have less money, so at that particular point of time you need to borrow money. Then provide foreign exchange. So foreign exchange, for foreign exchange also, for importing, when you are importing and you do not have enough money, sufficient amount to make the payment, then you will borrow money. Then check recession. If there is a recession and you want to inject money in the circulation, so but you are lack of money at present, you have very less amount, so you need to inject more money in the circulation, and for that particular situation you need to borrow money from the other countries, even from the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, the way we borrowed in 1991. So that particular point of time, and even Great Depression time also. So meeting unforeseen expenses like natural calamities, anything comes to by chance, then for that particular point of time you need to borrow money. Then finance public enterprises, you need to invest in the public enterprises. For that particular point of time you need to borrow money if you do not have money. Okay, so you are borrowing. Soft revenue options also we have. So while public expenditure, every point has their own importance. So we are borrowing money. So how to remove this public debts? So there are some factors which we need to follow. There are some method. This method is very, very important, children. Please mark in your book as well. Very important, because this debt redemption or methods of debt redemption is very important, because last year it was not asked. This year I am sure 100% it will be there in your second term exam. So redemption means repayment of loan. Whatever loan you have borrowed from anywhere, external or internal, you have to repay it. Otherwise, it becomes a liability and it will pressurize you. And India, like country like India is a developing country. We are paying huge amount, huge amount, almost million of rupees we are paying for interest, because we borrowed money from different countries, from different economies. So these are the methods to deal with this public debt. First one, repudiation of debt. In short, you can say it means refusal to pay the debts by the government. You will refuse, I will not pay. Whatever you feel, you will do it. I will not pay. Similar thing happens with Russia in 1917. Russia also done the same thing. They said Russia borrowed money from the other countries, and later on he refused to make payment. But later on no one has refused. because it's a reputation of your country among the other countries. So repudiation of debt is one of the method. Refunding. Refunding is another method. Refunding, it is a process by which government raise new bonds to pay off the maturity bonds. So in case you are not in position to pay, then you will borrow another. Okay. Converting in the new bonds. Suppose you have one loan and you are not in position to repay, then you will borrow another loan and pay the first one. So another new bonds to pay the maturity bonds. That's a refunding. Debt conversion means exchange of new debts for the old debts. So new debt is converted into a next debt. So you are shifting the same kind of thing, refunding and debt conversion. Then budgetary deficit. If your budget is surplus, budgetary surplus, if you have surplus budget, then it is possible to repay your debts easily. Okay, so that means your receipts are more than the expenditures. Other function, sinking fund, very important sinking fund. The government established separate funds known as sinking fund for the purpose of repayment. Like you will save some small amount in other account for repayment of your loans. So sinking fund, that is government has to maintain with RBI. So RBI will make a certain sinking fund for particular loans कि इतना अमाउंट हमें पे करना है बाद में, तो हम छोटा छोटा अमाउंट हर मंथ सेव करते जाएं. लेट्स अज्यूम कि यू नीड टू पे 1 lakh rupees in a year as a payment. I mean, you need to return that amount. So you don't have, at the moment you do not have 1 lakh rupees. What you will do, you will divide this 1 lakh rupees into a small installment and reserve that amount for a year in your another account. And then later on, whenever the time comes for the payment, you will make the payment with the help of sinking fund. Then terminal annuities, terminal small installment you are making payment. The government pays debt in equal amount annual installment, which include interest as well as principal amount. That's a simple EMI kind of thing. Then statutory reductions in the rate of interest. So when there is a statutory, reduce. So sometimes the government take statutory decisions to reduce the rate of interest payable to its public debt. The creditor are forced to accept the reduced rate of interest in view of statutory power of the government. That is also possible. Suppose sometimes government promised to pay you 10% of interest, but later on they refused and they will ask you to pay only 8%. That is also possibilities. Then capital levy refers to the heavy taxes on the property and wealth. So government start charging heavy taxes from the people. So they'll charge more taxes on wealth, on the properties from the people. The way it was announced in recently by Sitharaman, former finance minister Sitharaman, she in her speech she mentioned ki 30% tax on this cryptocurrency. So she will charge, and even the GST 18%, 12%, they will charge more. And then export surplus. When you have more export, then it is done. Okay, so please do not leave, children. Only one more topic is left and we are done with this chapter. So export surplus, if you have more exports, you will have more foreign reserves. And when you have more foreign reserves, you are in position to pay the debts. So these are the methods through which you can waive off your loans. And then last topic, which we have, deficit financing. That's the last topic. Only the meaning will come to you. So meaning means deficit financing means meeting the deficit between the government expenditure and revenue through the creation of new money. That's all. So how will you remove the deficit financing? How will you deal with it? When you print new currency for the nation. When you print new currency, automatically you will waive off the loans and any other debts or public expenditures, you can easily make. So that's called deficit financing. That's all for the day, and I'm done with this chapter. Tomorrow we'll discuss the budget.